Welcome to Cultural Connections Lab. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Forbes. We are here to talk with educational professionals around the world to impact and influence the education system as we focus on cultural connections and the education of multilingual, diverse students. We're excited to have you join us today, and we sincerely hope that you enjoy the show.
Hey there, listeners. Are you ready to take your school district to new heights? Introducing EduSkills, the leading software as a service platform for Title III and multilingual support in education. Having been a director of English language development for a school district, I was honored and privileged to get to use EduSkills. EduSkills understands the importance of equitable education and empowering multilingual learners to thrive in today's classrooms. Their cutting-edge technology provides school districts across the nation with the tools they need to enhance language acquisition, foster inclusivity, and improve academic outcomes. With their seamless implementation and comprehensive support, I have witnessed EduSkills ensure a smooth transition for school districts, empowering their educators to provide targeted instruction and personalized support. So why wait? Unlock the potential of your school district today with EduSkills. Visit their website, eduskillsllc.com, or call them at 405-879-9898 to schedule a demo. EduSkills, transforming education one student at a time.
Welcome to another podcast episode of Cultural Connections Lab with myself, your host, Dr. Kelly Forbes. I am excited to introduce to you all a very special guest that we have here today, Montserrat Garibay. Montserrat Garibay is the Assistant Deputy Secretary and Director of the Office of English Language Acquisition at the U.S. Department of Education. More recently, she was the Senior Advisor for Labor Relations at the Office of the Secretary. She was the Secretary-Treasurer of the Texas AFL-CIO. Previously, she served as Vice President for Certified Employees with Education Austin, a merged union local with the American Federation of Teachers, National Education Association, and the American Federation of Labor Congress of Industrial Organizations. An activist on education and immigration issues, Garibay came to the U.S. from Mexico as an undocumented immigrant and became a citizen 20 years later. She has been instrumental in promoting opportunities for all students, including those from immigrant families. She promoted passage of the Texas version of the DREAM Act and comprehensive immigration reform. A bilingual pre-kindergarten teacher for 8 years and national board certified teacher, she is a graduate of the National Labor Leadership Initiative with the Work Institute at Cornell University. Garibay is a University of Texas Austin graduate with a master's degree in education. And without further ado, I present to you all Miss Montserrat Garibay. Thank you so much for being here today.
No, my pleasure. Buenos días. Muchas gracias. Thank you
Buenos
for having
días.
me here.
Yeah, buenos días. Aquí estamos en esta mañana, gran mañana. It's a great, great morning. And I truly am so humbled to get to be in your presence and to have this time with you. So thank you for sharing your passion, your knowledge with all of our listeners out there. Is there anything else that you would like to share that I wasn't mentioning in your bio, perhaps, or anything?
No. It's just a long bio, but no, nothing.
It's a long bio.
Nothing
You
else.
laugh. There's been longer ones though.
I've seen
read.
longer ones. Yes.
No, but truly, I'm very thankful to have you here. It's a very humbling experience. So, sinceramente, muchas gracias por todo. But I wanted to ask you, just about your life and your own experiences. How has your personal journey shaped your own perspective on the importance of culture and diversity in education?
Well, first and foremost, coming to the U.S., not speaking a word of English, being undocumented, and I remember my first day of school with my stomach full of butterflies, not knowing what was going to happen, and seeing someone that looked like me welcome me to the school was essential. And talk about culture and diversity. When someone comes to a place and they see someone that looks like them, you just automatically feel like, okay, things are going to be okay. And that's exactly that was my experience from day one in Austin, Texas, at Marquison Middle School, where I started there in school. And my journey as an undocumented student was very similar to the journey that many of our students go through and their families. My mother in my backpack, we always had a plan A, B, and C. And one of the things that my mother was always very honest was on our immigration status, that
Mhm.
we, maybe that she was not going to be picking us up from school.
Mm.
And that, in case she wasn't there was a reason, right? She probably would be being picked up by immigration, or that we needed to have a plan. So one of the things that my mother would do, she would put in a little piece of paper in my backpack, our friend's address and telephone. So we would have someone to go to.
Yeah.
And that is the experience that many of the students in our schools go through. And having someone that spoke Spanish and explained to my mother what was the process to register into school, what classes I needed to take was essential, because she did it in Spanish and she did it in a way that my mother understood, but most importantly, that I felt safe and that my mother felt safe. So when it comes to culture and diversity, having people that speak the language of the students in the schools is essential. Having a parent specialist is essential. Having that cultural awareness that different communities feel welcome in different ways. So throughout my whole educational journey, I've always seen people that look like me in the classrooms, whether it was a custodian, whether it was a cafeteria worker, whether it was a counselor, a principal. And to me, that was important because I often share this, that being a 12-year-old not speaking a language, you often feel powerless and invisible. And actually, that was something that my mother would tell me. You need to be invisible, right? Like, don't bring trouble. We are here to learn the language and to have a better life, but always be invisible. So having people that look like you and that acknowledge you, it's very, very important.
No, es que me tienes chillando
Sorry.
también. No, it's because it's so, no, what you're saying is so, I mean, I think this is really important. I thank you so much for your vulnerability and talking about this, because it's so important for, I think, other people to hear these stories, to have the exposure to it, because there are people like me that did not grow up with that experience. But I was fortunate to be able to be a newcomer teacher, and there were 7 countries and 8 languages represented in that classroom. And so being bilingual in English and Spanish, I could help with at least the students be able to hear Spanish in that part. But and it makes me want to learn, be a polyglot, learn many other languages as well. But your experience, though, is just, it's so true. And this is what I really want listeners to hear, too. Like, these are the stories of our students that are in your classroom right now. And I through similar stories like this, I now am a very proud godfather of 2, a sister of one of my students that I had as a newcomer student, who are also from Mexico City. And so, but anyhow, these stories are very real. And it's just really important to hear them and to have empathy and to be able to try to really understand, because we don't want our students to be invisible or to feel that way, and also to take into consideration their families. Definitely. Oh, can you share some specific cultural experiences from your own background that have influenced your approach to promoting multicultural education and supporting students from diverse backgrounds?
Yes. So, that experience when I was in middle school, that really shaped my journey, because I wanted to be just like Mrs. Hernandez, my ESL teacher. And that I remember within that year, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher and that I wanted to be just like her. So she was definitely my inspiration to becoming a teacher. And very gladly, years later, I became a bilingual teacher. And I kind of follow what she would do. And of course, then I went to UT and I graduated and got my undergrad in bilingual education. And I learned that all those strategies that she was doing in the classroom were the strategies that really helped me become proficient in English. And that really helped me. So when I became a teacher, I did the same thing. I had an open door policy. I invited parents into the classroom, and I taught bilingual pre-K. So it was literally the first time 4-year-olds were in a classroom in a public school. So making the parents feel welcome was essential to me. So I did a lot of home visits just to establish a good relationship with the parents. And I would love doing, it would take forever because I had to do like 20 plus home visits at the beginning of the year. But the parents were so welcoming. And I really got to know them and I really got to build a good relationship with them. And especially with the dads, because in the area where I taught, there a lot of the fathers there are obviously immigrants and first generation, but they're immigrants and they work in landscaping in Austin. So they work in nurseries or, they clean the yards. And I remember doing a questionnaire for the parents during the home visits. And I would ask them, like, what are some of the things that you like to do? What do you do at work? Things like that, just so I would get more understanding of the kids' background. And I remember in this particular year, there were quite a few parents who work in the same nursery. And I asked them, I would love for y'all to come. And I remember many of the parents saying, well, maestra, I don't know English. Like, I don't even know how to write and read in Spanish. Because some of them didn't read or write in Spanish. And I would ask them, well, but you know about gardens. And their lights would light up. And yes, we do. We work, I work at the nursery and we got all these plants and this and that. So I invited them into our school because we had a big yard, a garden, and we started a garden. I started a project-based learning where we were integrating science and reading into our curriculum. And that was the thing. Like, the parents would come every Friday and they would help us build our garden. So we would literally have the parents, the dads, like 5 dads that would come, that would help us do the garden. They would answer questions to the kids, and the kids would be so proud. They were like, they are like teachers.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, they are teachers. And I really built a very close relationship with them because they were like, yes, this is what we do. And they felt very proud. And seeing the kids looking at their parents, it was really special. Because you would have these big guys, these big parents with their hats, with their boots, bringing flowers or bringing different vegetables and explaining to the kids what that meant. And I felt like that was really important. And then, as the year would progress into the spring, we would have all these vegetables and we would have radishes and carrots and lettuce. And then we would have like this celebration where we would cut and clean the vegetables and make salads and make guacamole. And the moms, it would just become like this big fiesta, right? Because the moms knew that I wanted them to be in the classroom. So for the moms, they would come every Friday. We would have lunch together and they would read the stories to the kids. But most importantly, they would share like los cuentos tradicionales and things like that. And the kids love that. They really wanted their parents to be there. And I would tell the parents oftentimes, like, your child is only going to be with me for a year. With you, they're going to be for the rest of your life. So you really need to learn what are my expectations, but also know that I want the best for them. And a lot of the moms would say, you're very strict, Miss Garibay. And I would say, yes, I am very strict because I have very high hopes for your kids. And oftentimes in a pre-K class, the kids would not obviously come not reading or writing, but they will leave my classroom starting to read DRA level 1 or 2, and they would start writing. And that to me was like, this is the power of education, and they would have a really good experience. And to me, that was really important.
Wow. I I have to admit, because I'm just such a big fan of yours, but I was, doing some research and reading, and I had read, I think it was an FAQ or, what was it called? Anyhow, it was an article where they were asking you questions, and I had read about you really empowering the parents to come in because they are the first teachers of the students. But but one thing that I just really love about it, and this is what I try to talk about with so many other people, is just that level of cultural proficiency and that understanding and really bringing in the parents in such a way, because again, they are the first teacher, but through that, recognizing those funds of knowledge and all of the things that the students and the families bring. And that is like the rich tapestry of what you can do in education whenever you bring all that into the mix. So And I also would go to the students' homes and get to talk with them, and play basketball outside with them.
Yeah.
I even had students from Guatemala that would call me and be like, "Hey, señor Kelito, hoy tenemos clase," and I was like, "¿Por qué me está preguntando eso? Like, why are you asking if we have class or not?" And they go, "Pues por la lluvia, it's raining." And so, but then it was just learning more about like from where they came, and like whenever it would rain really hard, there'd be mudslides and they couldn't come. And
Oh.
so anyhow, but then learning that they knew about that, allowing them to come in and just share all the
Mhm.
information and that wealth of knowledge that the students bring and their families too.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, continuing on, I have another question about like in your role as a pre-K teacher and currently as the assistant deputy secretary and director for the Office of English Language Acquisition. Woo woo.
Mhm.
How do you believe cultural awareness and proficiency can enhance the educational experiences or academic outcomes for all students, but particularly those from immigrant or migrant families?
It is essential to have cultural awareness and sensitivity because that really, again, allows the students to bring who they are into our schools and also for us to see what they bring to our schools as assets.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they might not know English, that's okay, but they bring their culture, their language, their experiences, their parents and their families' experiences, and building onto that so they can learn English is essential. And it's doable. I think that that's one of the things that I really, as a pre-K teacher, I love that. I love doing that. That early learning component and parent engagement for me was essential because that really helped me build relationships with the parents, but also empower the parents to know that they were able to ask questions about the education of their students. I was able to explain to them why learning their native language was so important
Mm-hmm.
because,
Yes.
I'm then becoming bilingual and multicultural and biliterate was so important. But that was a very I was very focused on making sure that I had that conversation with them because I knew that as they would go to elementary, middle school, and high school, they needed to know that there were programs in the district that would allow them to become bilingual and bicultural and biliterate. And to me, that was essential. So I did a lot of sharing that information with them. But then also, I think in terms of the cultural awareness, having parent support specialist that
Mm-hmm.
spoke Spanish, that explained to the parents different processes, that would teach them even ways to how to read, how to ask questions to the kids when they were at home. The fact that if they were going, to the store, that they needed to look at the environmental writing, and that the kids would start, recognizing letters and going, buying oranges or buying aguacates or
Uh-huh.
whatever. That the kids had a place on that, and that every opportunity is a learning opportunity, especially when it comes from parents. And really integrating their cultural identity
Mm-hmm.
is important because then it becomes something that they are who they are, and integrating that into education is essential.
My dissertation research was about cultural proficiency and the role that it plays in success for all students. And so everything that you're saying is just so true and so accurate, and really just a message for leaders as well, is to allow that space to happen because there are, and this is not everywhere, but oftentimes you might have a monolingual kind of monocultural monolithic administration building that is serving students that may not be monolingual, monolithic, or monocultural. And so really making ourselves push ourselves and to think outside of the box and to be creative. And how do we involve, and not just involve, but really engage all of our families and all of our students and celebrate all their backgrounds? Yeah, and thinking about like what are those barriers, what are those guiding principles, and how do we really get to a place where we can institutionalize that cultural
Yeah.
knowledge, but having those bilingual, multilingual um, leaders, teachers, support staff that understand it. I just think, I agree, it's just totally essential for
Yeah. And one of the things that I also had, a lot of the kids that were in my classroom were from other places from Latin America. So I had kids from Peru, had kids from Honduras, Guatemala. And as an adult, I always led by example. So when we would have a lesson, I would say, well, in Spanish, if we were studying about the three little pigs, I would
Mhm.
say, se le dice cochinito. oh, how do you say it in Honduras? How do you say
Yes.
cochinito in Guatemala? And I myself learned that there are other ways that animals are called in different countries,
Yeah.
right? And integrating that, and just the face on my students' faces when I would recognize, oh, chanchito, and they would be like, sí, así se dice en Guatemala. Oh, así se dice en Honduras. I think really being able to recognize that to me was important, because I wanted my students to feel welcome, and that their own culture and heritage matter. Because yes, I was very bold about saying, yes, I'm Mexican, and I'm from Mexico City. I'm bringing my own cultural, right, my own culture into my classroom. But to me, it was important that I would also recognize that there were other students who were from other countries, and I would make sure, okay, en Cuba, ¿cómo se dice esto? And and the parents really appreciated that as well.
Whenever I was the principal of an elementary school, it was a bilingual school, there were 13 different Spanish-speaking countries represented among the staff. And the question came up of, should we have a standardized Spanish or do we include all? And so I kind of took a step back and I asked them, what do you all think? And I was like, I have my opinion. And anyhow, they were like, no, I think we need to include all of it. And I was like, oh, I had to go. Because like definitely.
Yes.
And so it was the same for me, because I'm just, this guy from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was a teacher that changed my life, Senora Atkins, at 15 years old as a freshman in high school, who got me so engaged in the Spanish language. And now all the way to having goddaughters from Mexico City, it's allowed me to travel. And I have one of my best friends, Marti, who's my salsa partner from Colombia, and we bailamos salsa caleña. But learning all the different ways to say, like even straw, popote, bombilla, like depending, And so, but all that is like, that's the enriching part. And that's where you start making all these different cultural connections, because language and culture, obviamente, like they go together. Yeah, you can't separate them.
And we will be right back. Are you ready to take your K-12 multilingual programs to new heights? Look no further than the experts at Kelly B's Consulting. We're not just consultants, we're partners in education, with a passion for empowering students and enriching your classrooms. At Kelly B's Consulting, we understand the unique cultural and linguistic needs of your diverse student population. Our team of experienced educators will work alongside you, tailoring strategies that transform your multilingual programs. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Visit www.kellybsconsultingllc.com today to learn more and schedule your consultation. Kelly B's Consulting, shaping the future of K-12 multilingual education across the nation. Your success is our commitment. Contact us now and let's start building a brighter tomorrow together. And now, back to the show.
So, speaking about culture and the elements of culture, what cultural elements or practices have you found to be particularly effective in helping immigrant students feel welcomed and supported in U.S. schools? I know that we've discussed having representation in the language and things of that nature, but is there anything outside of that?
I would think one of the things that I really liked about the district where I thought was that they would hire paraprofessionals that spoke the language in Spanish. So whenever we had meetings or cafecito con la directora, we not necessarily had translators. We had people that actually spoke in Spanish and that had that conversation, because I think that that's really important. It's like a ladder, right? You want to make sure that, yes, that you're welcoming, and some schools have translators, which is great, right? But if you really want authentic engagement, then you need to have someone that speaks their language engaging them so they can feel part of the community. You'll get a very different response from someone that is translating versus a meeting where they are speaking the language and they get to share their hopes and dreams or their concerns. So I think that that's one of the things that I feel was the district where I work was very effective in making sure that the information was in English, in Spanish, in other languages. But then also how we work with different organizations throughout the community in sharing different, whether it was the Mexican consulate or whether it was Safe Place or like the different organizations that would provide the resources and the services that the students needed in their home language so they could, be able to go to school and get the services that they needed.
One time I hosted a meeting solamente en español and provided interpreters for the English speaking parents, to try to flip the
Mm-hmm.
script for a minute
Mm-hmm.
to, kind of like walk walk in their shoes type of thing. But it is so true. And so, for all of our listeners out there, I encourage you to continue to be allies and advocates and to intentionally seek out leaders, teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals,
Mm-hmm.
anyone that's going to be working in your school district or your whatever local education agency, but be intentional about finding representation because it matters and it matters so much. Um, you were saying earlier whenever you had Miss Hernandez, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a different experience, but I remember the first time that I had a gay teacher also, and just
Mm-hmm.
that feeling of,
Welcome.
obviously different scenarios, but the feeling of being of belonging or being like it's okay,
Inclusive.
or I don't know, it was
Mm-hmm.
just there's not
Makes a
really words for
difference.
it. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right,
it
right.
definitely does. Um, so, in your opinion, what are the most exciting opportunities for promoting multicultural and multilingual education and cultural diversity in general in schools today? The most exciting opportunities that we have, and I know that your office also provides many opportunities as
Yes,
well.
well, one of the exciting opportunities of working at the Office of English Language Acquisition here at the Department of Education is the all the different resources that we have. We have this beautiful infographic, the benefits of multilingualism, and how multilingualism, all the benefits of multilingualism. But now we have that infographic in 5 different languages, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the our Raise the Bar, Lead the World initiative is something that Secretary Cardona started last year in January, and it has 3 different focus areas. But the area that we're focusing on specifically is global pathways for students and multilingualism for all. So we're really focusing on that area,
Mm-hmm.
and we're really promoting and amplifying the importance of multilingualism as part of the Office of English Language Acquisition. Our 4 priorities to make that multilingualism available for all have to do with parent engagement, early learning, dual language, and skills of biliteracy, which is
It's so
the work
exciting.
that the work that I do every single day, that our team does every single day. So we have our English learner family toolkit, we have our newcomer toolkit, we have
Mm-hmm.
all these infographics and fact sheets that we get to share with the nation. I was just in Colorado yesterday, and I attended a SILO biliteracy graduation,
Mm.
and there were over 300 people attending, 200 students receiving the SILO biliteracy, and the whole ceremony event was in English and Spanish,
Oh my gosh.
and listening to the kids recite poems and sing songs in their native language and how being bilingual is a superpower
Yeah.
was just obviously something that warms my heart. But it just talks about the importance of having a wonderful U.S. Secretary of Education, Dr. Cardona, the fact that he's
Un
bilingual,
aplauso.
see, the fact that he's bilingual, that
Mm-hmm.
he was an English learner himself, the fact that he's able to code-switch between speaking to a teacher, to a custodian, to a parent, to the president, to a senator about multilingualism and the benefits of how being multilingual can open a world of opportunities for anybody and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't have to be a heritage speaker of another language. It can be for all our children in the United States. They can be multilingual, and they can learn 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 languages. And I think that's the beauty and that's the exciting work that I get to do here at the Department of Education.
And we definitely thank you so much for that. My background was going to be I was going to be a dancing bilingual veterinarian. I never had any intention of getting into education, and so I was working on a cruise ship as a singer and a dancer, and I just kind of fell into education by accident. And so anyhow, but having my amazing teacher in high school helping me and encouraging me to wanting to learn more Spanish and become multicultural myself and learning about other cultures. But then with my students and it, it's just I've never heard so much of the conversation happening like it is, and I'm so passionate
Mhm.
about it. And I just appreciate how you all are as well. And so all the resources that are truly exciting. And we will have links to these to the website for the resources, listeners, just so you know. But it really is exciting to get to celebrate that. But I think again, it shows that representation matters, and I'm just so thankful for both of you for being loud and proud and sharing that, because then I get to share that with people that I know as well. And so and if any of you did not go to Nabe and you did not hear Miguel Carolina in his speech, I mean, everyone's standing up. It was amazing. So yes, all of this is truly truly exciting. And then is there any other personal story or experience that really exemplifies the impact of cultural sensitivity and inclusion on a student's educational journey? And that might be something that happened with you personally or another student that you know, but was there just any experience that really exemplifies that impact of cultural sensitivity?
Yeah, every year I go back to Austin and I go to the graduations of my former pre-K students. And last year I attended five graduations, and two of them received the seal of biliteracy. And just speaking to them, seeing them in their graduation, being able to speak in English and Spanish, and I asked the parents, "How do you feel that that Angela, your daughter, received the seal of biliteracy?" She was just so proud. She was like, "It was great. It's great. Like she reads, speaks, and talks in English and Spanish." And she shared with me when she went in Austin, they do a project base. To get their seal of biliteracy, they have to do a project in Spanish. And the mom was sharing with me that Angela did her project about her mother, and how her mother was her inspiration to learn English and Spanish, and that she was the translator of her mom for many years, and that she really wanted to make sure that she spoke both well, so she could help her mom and her dad even more. And she also mentioned how her mom and dad save money to have her quinceañera, and that she was able to see her grandparents coming to her quinceañera, and that she was able to actually speak to her grandparents in Spanish, and that, knowing that language and being able to, have a conversation con abuelita y abuelito was so important, and that being bilingual was something that she really appreciated. So that was my first class that graduated with the seal of biliteracy. So it was very special last year, because I was like, yes, this is what I'm working on. This is what we're highlighting. This is why we're so excited that now all 50 states have the seal of biliteracy. Yes. And it's something that, it just brings a lot of joy to the work that I do. But it also, I think, working here at the department and being so far away from home, from Texas, I have the pictures of my students from my class, the classes that I taught, and I always bring them to whatever job I have, and I have them right above my desk, because they are the reminder they're my reason why. Every single student, every single parent, their stories are the reason why I'm here today serving at the Department of Education, because I know the potential that every student has. And when we see our students as assets, they can become whatever they want. So to me, that's a reminder of why I'm here, but also the possibilities that we have of making every student welcome, but making every student multilingual at the same time.
Yes. I mean, our students are just like the best professors for us also, and a lot of students have to, they might have to spend a lot of money to be able to have and our things. And then our students here, though, they're just so blessed to be able to have that, and so the more that we just embrace that and get excited about it, I mean, because being bilingual and multilingual is one of the best and biggest things that's changed my entire life, and has really allowed me to just to seek to understand and to be able to listen in different ways. But I mean, I'm telling you, and you're right, and here are the pictures. I'm seeing them right now, and it's so amazing that you have them there. But it's the same, it's the same for me, and probably for many of us educators out there, that they're the reason why we get up every single morning. and to just to encourage and celebrate and just to love them so much
Yeah.
and to recognize all their assets because
Yeah.
that is it's really big. I mean, I often also joke because like if it's raining outside, we just say we're gonna put on a raincoat. But in Spanish, you might say impermeable, and I'm like, here you are walking around with your advanced placement word of impermeable, and we're just saying raincoat. So like
Yeah.
that Spanish is elevating us,
Right.
and other languages elevate what we do, and I can't say it enough. Go learn languages, people. Go have some fun. It'll be
Yes.
fantastic. Anyhow, and as we're about to wrap up here, for any of the listeners who are just truly so passionate about promoting cultural proficiency and supporting students from diverse cultural backgrounds, and based on the stories that we've been having right now, how can they receive information from OELA and how can they follow you, perhaps?
Yes, well, we're in every social media.
All of them, and I share them too, so you can find me.
Yes,
They'll
so
be on there.
we are in Twitter, in Facebook, LinkedIn, and we have also our Encela newsletter that comes out every month,
Mhm.
and you can visit us at www.ncela.ed.gov. We also have a Facebook page for the Department of Education in Spanish,
Mhm.
where people can actually get our information in Spanish,
Yeah.
and they can learn what we're doing. Another thing that I'm really, really proud is that we have started having some of our webinars in Spanish
Yeah.
because,
All that.
the secretary obviously supports multilingualism, and he really wants for us to lead by example. And leading by example means that as a Department of Education, we also need to have these webinars and information in English, Spanish, and many other languages.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we did last year, we had a webinar in Spanish about elevar las expectativas, about
See?
raise the bar in Spanish. We have an upcoming webinar in Spanish about our family toolkit, which we're very excited. It is available in an app, and it's available in 4 different languages: Arabic, Chinese, Spanish, and English.
Mhm.
And these are resources that, as I look, when I was here 30 years ago, I wish, we would have had those resources because things
Yeah.
would have been so much easier. Our English language family toolkit has 6 chapters, and it tells you how to welcome your students to our public schools. What are the resources that they need to know in terms of what do they need to know about extracurricular activities?
Mhm.
What do they need to know about reading the report card? What do they need to know about summer learning? So all of these things are available in 6 chapters in different languages for parents ready to go. But furthermore, this family toolkit is also for educators.
Mm.
And it's also for everyone that is in the schools because they need to know what they need to do to make sure that our students and our families are welcome into our schools. And again, like if 30 years ago we would have had something like that, it would have been so much helpful because I still remember some of the students that were in my ESL class that came from different countries that didn't have someone that looked like them or that spoke their language. They didn't graduate from college, from the high school. They didn't graduate from high school. They drop out. And I feel like if they would have had the experience that I had of having a teacher that spoke Spanish and to have the information in Spanish made a big difference for me. And I'm sure it would have made that difference for them
Mhm.
if they would have felt welcome.
100%, yes.
So I think that that's why this family toolkit and working in OELA now, it's just like 160 degrees of that. 160 degrees that I've never thought that I would be in the Department of Education working, and just reminds me about the responsibility that we have to make sure that our students receive the education that they need in the way that they need it.
Exactly. And if you have not downloaded the app, anyone, do so. I have. And the Family Toolkit, definitely the 2023 version. It's brand new. In June 2023, I think it came out. Yes. And I share that with everyone as well. So if you're listening and you have not looked that up, look it up. It will definitely help support you in many, many ways. Is there anything else as we close that you haven't been able to share that you would like to share as we wrap up?
Yes, I would love to share that last year in December, one of my former pre-K students who graduated from high school is now a teacher, a bilingual teacher in Austin, Texas. And now I really get to see kind of like a mini grow your own, right? Of my former students who are becoming teachers and who are actually graduating with their degrees. It's something that it's very special, but it's also something that we need to kind of, as educators, step back and really think of how we're transforming the lives of our students, and also how our students are transforming our own lives through their experiences and what they bring to the table. And, you know, at the end of the day, we are educating the future of our country because they are the ones that are going to be leading our schools, leading our country, our government. And I think it's really important that we invest in them and that we raise the bar for them for multilingualism.
Well, I encourage all of the listeners. We will have the links for all of this in the description of the podcast. Sign up for the webinars. I am that person. I sign up for all of them all the time. But you do gain a wealth of knowledge and information. But as we close, I just want to say thank you, teachers. Thank you to all the educators, all the leaders out there that are just really out there to do the very best that they can for service for our students. Servant leadership means so much to me. But on a personal note, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your inspiration, and thank you for being someone that I know that you don't necessarily, know me. We've seen each other at conferences, and there are many other people that know you, and you don't know them, but you are an inspiration to so many people. And so on behalf of myself and many others that I'm sure would like to thank you personally, and I'm so humbled to be here in this space to have the opportunity to say, sinceramente, muchas gracias por todo lo que haces. And we're here supporting you in anything that you need. So thank you so much. And with that, I just want to say a special thank you to our sponsor, EduSkills, for sponsoring and promoting this amazing podcast of Cultural Connections Lab. Thank you to our producer, Mike Overholt. He does all the hard work, and we do appreciate you. And most specifically, thank you to you, Ms. Montserrat Garibay, and to all of our listeners out there. We wish you the best and hope that you have a fantastic day. Adios.
Adios. Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Adios.